Pat Sajak has been doing this for more than 40 years. The person who runs one of the most Wheel of Fortune is a well-known game show. Via his funny and lively personality, he has been able to hold the millions of people have seen it and are interested in it. It's safe to state that Pat in the country has been a true legend on the show, and people will definitely remember him as one of the best game shows ever. Sadly, Pat Sajak has recently opted to leave the show, ending his extended 4-decade tenure. At the well-known spectators of game shows who have embraced the longtime TV personality has said their sadness at knowing that their favorite host will not be on there. This has caused a lot of problems with screens every day. Expectation, and everyone is excited waiting to find out what will happen next. What really happened that made him leave after so long? Who will be the new host of the show? Come along as we figure out the mystery behind this shocking choice, and what the future holds for the famous Pat Sajak. Was on the game show Wheel of Fortune. Was born in Chicago on October 26, 1946. Illinois. Was born on the west side of Chicago. Born to Polish American parents, he didn't know him very well with his father Leonard Stock or his paternal grandparents. His parents separated when he was very little, and his Joyce Sajak's mother got married again to Walter Ble in 1956. Sajak's father died in 1961, and after that Sajak lost communication with he went to his father's side of the family at Farragut High School for high school. He completed his studies in 1964. He went to Columbia College, Chicago, while working as a desk clerk at the Palmer House Hilton Hotel. Sajak's interest in broadcast entertainment was developed at a tender age, watching Jack Paar on The Tonight Show. In an interview with the Hoover Institution in 2012, Sajak said, "I would sneak out of bed at night, not to go out with the guys or get a beer, but it was to turn on The Tonight Show and see what Jack was up to, what Sajak was like in his early adulthood." Jack Paar, his role model. He started his career as an announcer with a local radio station in 1966. He was a guest young DJ on the Dulles Radio's Dick Beyond Show. Has come out the winner of a contest at Columbia College, Chicago. His broadcasting teacher Al Parker told him that a nearby radio station required a newsman. Sajak applied for the job and got hired to work from midnight to 6 o'clock a.m. Then he joined the United States Army in 1967 and served his country for 2 years. When he was dispatched to Vietnam, he ended up becoming a disc jockey for the Army's radio station in Saigon. When Sajak was the Army let him go in 1970, failed to find another work in his field, he later transferred to NBC affiliate WASM in Nashville, where he was a disc jockey on the radio station and an announcer on their television channel. He was a frequent alternative for the regular newscasters, and so when the weekend weatherman left the station, Sajak was the perfect candidate for the post. Sajak's funny demeanor was noticed by Los Angeles' NBC affiliate KBC, which hired Sajak as one of its weather reporters in 1977. Then Sajak showed the weather report for the West Coasts. He came to the core of television attention of a lot of important persons, included Jack Paar, who sent Sajak a letter of envy, also saw commendation. Sajak Griffin is the producer of Jeopardy, which from 1964 until 1975, and Wheel of Fortune, which has been on the air since on the air from 1975 till now. When the Wheel of Fortune was looking for Griffin, encouraged a new host to join in 1981. NBC to employ Sajak. There was some dispute at first because Sajak was not a well-known person, although Sajak was offered the job. He hosted Wheel of Fortune for the first time on the December 28, 1981. On that day, a new part of a new game called the bonus was added, round in which the person who was the winner was given a chance to win more. By solving another puzzle, they could win gifts. Sajak was the host for a while, also issuing orders behind the scenes, visiting the people who were in the games and giving his opinions about the show he was on with the viewers, is generally with a co-host, which was Susan Stafford. At first, she would stand next to the letterboard and find out what each letter was as it was being called by the contestants. When Stafford quit the show in 1982 to go to school psychology in the clinic, White took her place, and White became so much a part of the show that by 1988, the New York Times said that Sajak was maybe best known as Vanna White's co-host. Wheel of Fortune moved to syndication at night in September 1983, while still being on NBC throughout. This was a midday endeavor to grow its audience base, although only a few local initially stations could show the show, because it took up half an hour and the station had to find something to put in the second half in an effort to add to Wheel of Fortune. In the Griffin suggested in the second half of an hour a Canadian revival of Jeopardy. Alex Trebek is the new host of the show and gave the show for syndication in the strategy worked on both concerts in 1984. Became the first and second most popular shows programs that are shown by 1986 because the show was so popular became famous all around the country with Wheel of Fortune was on the air and was offered other shows he worked on as one of the people who put on the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade from 1984 to he was also given the Pat Sajak in 1986 show in 1989 that aired on late at night on CBS, and it aired until 1990. Some of the guests for the short time the show was on included Jack Parr, who had stopped hosting TV late at night in 1965 to host the late night chat show on CBS. Sajak had to quit NBC, therefore he played Wheel of Fortune during the day. Ralph Benke took over after him. Bob Gone took over after that when the show moved to CBS in July in 1989. Though Pat still stayed as the host of the evening edition that airs on multiple channels of Wheel of Fortune in the 1990s. Sajak expanded his business in the broadcasting industry, but he chose to put his money where his heart is instead of where the money is. In 1998, he paid for the right to transmit WANEV, an AM radio station that is located in Annapolis, Maryland. This became one of the most important parts of his business venture. Shock his broadcasting corporation. In 2005, the company also obtained a license for another AM radio station, which is in Westminster, Maryland. A few years after that acquisition, Shock made the decision to sell both licenses. The license was sold in 2013 for $325,000 for the sale of WNF's license in 2021 for $11,000. Sajak, on the other hand, helped $100,000 for WANEV to leave the land that he intended to sell. Shock also started Pat Productions and Boyack Make Tiny Recordings. Companies that make movies and TV shows give ideas and things to use for the music and TV industries. It is clear that Sajak's life outside of Wheel of Fortune is mostly in line with his conservative beliefs. He frequently says what he really thinks about the entertainment industry's culture and is a public supporter of his sect. Returned to politics in 2018 for the 36th time and became the longest-running game show host of all time, going beyond Barker, who hosted The Price is Right from 1972 to 2007. She was officially recognized by Guinness. This episode set world records for this. It went on the air on May 8, 2019. In addition to being the longest-lasting host of an American game show, he has received many awards for his work on television. Awards and honors, such as Award for People's Choice in 1987 and the Daytime Emmy Award for Great Game Show Host in 1993. He was in 1997 and 1998, respectively. Won the Daytime Emmy for Life. He also won an Achievement Award in 2011. Given a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. The year of the Walk of Fame, Pat Sajak has been married to Leslie since 1994. Brown, since his first wife, Cheryl Sajak, was born in 1989. He got married in 1979. Sadly, the marriage didn't last long, and the two got divorced in 1986. Sajak married Leslie Brown, a photographer and a model. In the past year, the couple met in 1989. Friends and have been an item since then. They now live in Snow Park, Maryland, is their second home. Leslie from Los Angeles has been on the show Wheel of Fortune a few times and has even hosted one of the show's specialties for anniversaries. On a personal level, Pat said that getting married to Leslie makes him a happy and joyful man. A wife who is very caring and helpful. She has been a big help to Pat in his working life. Together, they have raised and cared for 2 kids and have made Pat and Leslie's family happy, having a son and a daughter together. Patrick Michael James. She and a daughter called Maggie Sajak. Patrick Michael James Sajak was born in September and is a doctor who graduated in 1990 from medical school. And Maggie was born in 1995 and is now 2021. Sings country music and has been a guest on. She has been on Wheel of Fortune. Took over for Vanna White as a letter turner during a moment when Vanna was in charge of the show in the absence of Pat, except for there are other things you may do besides becoming a TV host. Pat Sajak likes to do things like this. Sports fan and his favorite sport is baseball with the Baltimore Orioles. Sajak also appreciates being on his preferred team to write and has written pieces for in the past certain conservative newspapers. He also possesses a pilot's license and a hobby of flying planes while making a guest appearance in the broadcast booth for the Baltimore Orioles against the Boston Red Sox in spring training. The match in March 2012 showed that he had announced certain baseball contests in the past. In terms of his work in the media, Pat Sajak has been involved in a short The Great is an educational video that the American Constitution that is utilized in the famous George Washington Estate's Mount Vernon was the focus of this movie, making visitors more aware of the US Constitution. Has Sajak, who acts like a reporter with his historical facts and data about the Constitution. This role allowed Sajak to bring his familiar broadcasts character and add something to it that is more informative and historical. Sajak is a Republican and worked before his new employment had pinned a few articles for the conservative weekly Human Events. He is also a regular writer and a podcaster for a right-wing site. In 2019, Pat Sajak had a ricochet. What might have been the best part of a health crisis during surgery for an obstruction in his intestines while he was Vanna is getting well after this event. White took over as the host for Wheel. Sajak has since gotten better at Fortune and started presenting the show again, even though he talked a lot on how important it was to pay attention to his health and the health of his family because he was about to retire soon. Sajak really likes the Washington. The Capitals are a team that plays in. He is a season ticket holder for the National Hockey League, ticket holder for the Philadelphia. Before the game, Flyers and skaters went to the rink. The third game of the 2018 Stanley Cup, it is clear that Sajak has not made it to the finals. Not only changed Wheel of Fortune but also the whole game show business because of his expertise and distinctiveness in cracking jokes and being at the same time managed to keep the contestants entertained, and he has become an icon in the eyes of his fans. The entertainment business. It is important to remember that Sajak was not only a host, but also took part in actively several kinds of philanthropic work that show that he is using his fame to assist others and make the world a better place. No matter taking part in charity events, fighting for good causes, he has showed that the strength of his character moves beyond the TV screen. Pat Sajak is an actor who is also a TV personality and is a game show host with an estimated worth more than $75 million. He is noted for hosting the game show Wheel of Fortune, and he has been hosting the show for a long time now, since he has been one of the highest paid TV stars since 1981. Hosts who make $15 a year million. Sajak and White only shoot Wheel of Fortune 4 times a month. It doesn't seem like a lot of labor for $15 million. Yet since there are 4 days of shooting, you can only think about that for a month. They might be incredibly taxing. Thus it's important should remember that it takes 195 episodes to finish a season of the Wheel of Fortune. Also Sajak and White star with the spin-off called Celebrity Wheel of Fortune, which started on air in 2021. Sajak also makes a lot of money from letting people use his image for the Wheel of Fortune slot machine is a popular choice in casinos. The license deal brings in around $15 million in licensing and royalties costs for Sajak every year. Sajak lately said that Wheel of Fortune's 41st season will be his last. The TV show Fortune will be his last. Personality stunned his admirers on June 12, 2023, when he said he was going to stop presenting Wheel of Fortune after 41 years of being on the show. With a brief tweet, Sajak talked about his career. Well, the time has come, he tweeted. For a number of reasons, I have made the decision that our 41st season will be my first. In September last, I had a terrific time and will have a lot more to say in the near future months. Thank you everybody for being quick to come out and pay their respects to Sajak's time on the show, which included his ex-co-host Vanna White. After this, people were curious about Vanna's announcement. White was Sajak's co-host for a number of years. Vanna would take over as host of the show, has been connected to Wheel of Fortune for over 40 years, and people are still drawn to her. Even though it was elegant, it made me smile, because she is more connected to reading those well-known letters she sometimes sends amid Sajak's absence, and has shown she can also host the show, which I've been really lucky to work with. Pat has been for all these years a great friend and mentor to me as well. Taking over as the host is stuff that I would absolutely think about it if the chance comes up, but it will be hard to replace Pat. Vanna, it will be hard to fill his shoes, remarked when someone asked her if she would be the one to take over from Sajak. There has also rumors have been spreading more and more in recent years that Maggie Sajak, is Pat's daughter. Sajak might be next in line to take over hosting Wheel of Fortune. Having saw a brief video of Pat and Maggie making fun of each other during a part of Wheel of Fortune trivia show, the people in the audience began to acquire an idea that 28-year-old Maggie is who may be the new host of Maggie on Wheel of Fortune. In January 2020, first appeared on Wheel of Fortune as Vanna White's stand-in for a week when she took over for Pat Sajak, who had to get surgery, and then in 2021, Maggie started her work at Wheel of Fortune as a social media correspondent. Fortune is a social media reporter officially. The fans of the show have focused their focus on the most recent comments made by Pat about the skills of Maggie as a host over the holidays. Pat and Vanna's trip was special. Featured in December, Maggie took over as host in 2022. While playfully asking Pat and Vanna questions on some easy holiday questions at the end of the program on December 27th, Pat couldn't help but share his 2022. Seeing that his daughter was his comment that he was a terrific host started up rumors in the media that she has been his preparation to take over for famous anchor Pat Sajak on the TV show The Wheel of Fortune. People who watch shows have also come up with the idea that Maggie might yet be a permanent letter turner on Wheel of Fortune. Like Vanna White thought the social media Maggie, the journalist, got on the wheel. Family, and in 2021, she was on the show twice, on several times on screen and behind the camera times. Now she hasn't been given any big tasks besides running the social media handles. However, there are some people who agree with the premise that her little the initial step is part of the show. To her being the host of the Send the program to the folks who have been after Sajak's interviews in the past few years, he hasn't retired. Really a great shock. During an interview with Entertainment Tonight in September 2022, Sajak said, "He wanted to leave the show. We're going to do this for 40 more years." He remarked that the end is nigh, which led to speculation rose that Sajak might leave once he had to leave the site. While the show was being filmed on the 26th of April in 2023, Pat Sajak was also not there. Shown during the bonus round played. Jim, the longtime host of the show Thornton, took over as the presenter. Some people who watched the show couldn't without knowing where the longtime host went, and a few of them thought Sajak was either sick or he lost his job. The main reason why Sajak made his choice to retire means to have more time for quality time with his family and take a break from the demands of the show. Sajak, who is now 77, said that it was just time for him to retire, which he said he wanted to do. In his formal statement from last year, Ryan Seast was named the new host of Wheel of Replacement as the host of Wheel of Fortune on the June 27, 2023. Seast will take over on the 2024 to 2025 season after Sajjak's retirement. After 41 years of being on the show, Sony Pictures Television said that Seast is noted for his roles on American Idol and Live with Kelly, and Ryan both signed a deal for several years and will also serve as a producer who gives advice on the show. This was a choice that Sajak backed, showing faith in Crest's skills to continue the show's legacy, along with Vanna White, who will still be on the show for the 2025-2026 season at the latest. Sajak's retirement ends in period for Wheel of Fortune, which he started hosting in 1981 when he worked with co-host Vanna White, has become a valued part of American TV. Even though Sajak will still be involved after retirement as a consultant on the show for 3 years, making sure the move goes smoothly for Ryan. Seast is his successor.